In this video, we're going to take a look at holding the hands steady throughout the recovery and trying to keep ourselves from dropping the hands at the catch and causing the blade to go up in the air, also known as skying. So what I've got here is I've drawn two red lines on the screen. The top red line is representing the gunnel of the boat. That's the highest part of the shell. And then the bottom red line is level with the end of the shaft of the oar. So you can see that top red line is the gunnel, and the bottom red line is the shaft of the oar. Now the boat's going to tip a little bit on the recovery that we're going to step through, and that's why I drew those two lines. We're going to see how the boat tips a little bit, and then we're just going to look at what happens with the oar, and then we'll look into the causes here. So here we go on the recovery. You can see the boat tipping towards us a little bit, dropping below that top red line. The boat's tipping towards us. Look at the oar is still in the same spot, so that's good. The oar is still in the same spot relative to the water. We keep going on the recovery. Now the oar is going to start coming up. The boat is still gently tipped towards us relative to when I first drew that top line, but the oar is going to start coming up. See that oar coming up above? It's going to come up above both lines. Now here we are where the boat is back where we started, with the top line is right on that top gunnel, and that bottom line represents where the oar began. Now look at where it is. It's much higher. Let's keep going. Now it's above that top line, way above the top line, and now we're going to square and we're going to put it in. So I'm just going to back up a little bit. So if we pause it right here, we can see the top line is still right on the gunnel. The bottom line is where that oar began, and coming over here we can see where the oar is now, right in, we could say right here. So that's a big distance that the oar has traveled. So let's look at how that's happening. So there's a lot of different ways that people sky the blade, and the way that it's happening here is much more subtle, and this is coming from someone who has brought some fair amount of awareness to carrying the handle in the correct location, but there's some subtleties that are still causing them to sky. And so this is for someone who's really worked hard on keeping the blade in the right place, but we're still seeing a little bit of skying here. If you're a beginner at rowing, this might be a little bit more advanced, but let's take a look at what's happening here. So the blade comes out, and this is a decent height of the blade. So I'm looking at the blade here. It's a pretty good height. The body position and hands is pretty good. And we're going to come down on the recovery here. Now you can see, even right in here, the blade is coming up a little bit. And that's because if you look at the hands, we're doing a tap down, getting those hands down. So that's decent. You would vary the amount that you're tapping down in here during that motion, depending on the stability of the boat. But this is still okay. Now we're going to continue on the recovery. Now remember, the boat's going to tip, so that the blade is going to look like it's coming up more than it is. But I did that first demonstration to show you that it is definitely coming up. So we're going on the recovery. Now we're starting to approach the catch here, and right in here is where we're going to start to see what's happening here. So as the rower leans forward, as they start to swing forward, their body's going to move. So that's going to be this motion here. And that's going to be connected to this arm here, that outside arm, that right arm. And because this arm, they're not doing a good job of keeping this arm independently, gently sliding up like this during the swing forward, what that's going to do is that's ultimately going to end up pushing the hands down as they swing forward. And then the other thing that's going to happen is when they turn the oar with their feathering hand in here, that's going to gently push the oar down. So watch that happen. So we're starting to reach with the shoulders up in here, and that's pushing the hands gently down. And then watch the feather. There it is. So it's that motion right there, that final reach with the body and with the hands, that's causing the dip of the hands and thus the rise of the blade. So if we draw a line right here representing the oar, I'm going to go slightly under the oar. Now watch what happens. You see the angle that the oar is at now. So that's that final push down. And this is coming from a habit of having your blade on the water, and having to do this because the blade's on the water, and you can't get it in without pushing the hands down. But if we just back up to right before, there we go. So this is right before we're square. So you can take a look at the blade out on the water over here, and you can see we got plenty of room to just square it up and drop it in. But the rower has a habit of thinking their blade's on the water, and as they feather, they're going to push down with the hands over here. And yeah, it's just a bad habit that is coming from not rowing as well. But this rower is rowing much better, and this is the next step. It's just understanding that you have the space to square it up and put it in.